Hello, deathlings, it's me. I know what you're thinking. Who is this hideous creature? Thine sees before thine. It's just me with no makeup. They do this thing on YouTube called Get Ready With Me. It's a Get Ready With Me. It's like a chatty Get Ready With Me, where I put on my makeup and I tell you about my life. So I'm gonna do that, except I'm getting ready to film a video, which I actually see my camera in the background. That's not a prop, but I'm gonna film a video. So I thought I would do my makeup and answer some of your death questions, or just chat about death as I do it. I hope that's cool. I'm shooting this on my iPhone, which honestly, it's not, we've shot on the iPhone for a couple things recently for vloggy type things. It doesn't look that different from my very expensive high definition cam over there. So first I'm gonna start, I don't wear foundation. I just wear this like mineral powder stuff. So first thing I want to talk about is an update on the documentary. My idea was that we were going to put it all together and shoot it this summer. We're putting it all together this summer, but it is the dog days of summer and it's been really hard to schedule the shoots for it. Just because I sort of forgot that the goal was to have the documentary, but also keep making a video every week too, with full production, with scripts, with research, with filming, with editing, etc. So the documentary is taking a little while longer, but I will say that not a single one of you patrons has said like, excuse me, TikTok, where's the doco? And maybe that's because we're doing a video every week and you can tell how much we're trying. So you're not gonna be like, excuse me, bish where? But yeah, I assure you there's lots of really cool stuff happening. The research is basically done. The animations are starting to get done and they're super cool. So that's happening. One person in the comments asked if it was gonna be released in theaters. Oh no, that's not what we're doing here. It's basically gonna be like, it's gonna be me and it's gonna be Ask a Mortician-y, but it's gonna be, how do I describe it? Like hyped up, it's gonna be like half an hour, it's gonna be shooting on locations, it's gonna be animations, it's just gonna be like, and really kind of for me, a like showpiece for the movement and what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, and cool facts and hopefully really interesting. So let's answer some questions while I do the next thing. What's the next thing I usually do? My eyebrows, maybe? I do, obviously when I shoot a video, I put on a little more makeup than I normally do because I have a big, you can't really see it from here. I'm afraid to mess with the phone setup, but I have a big ring light that I use like as a lighting system, and it can really wash you out if you don't have, if you just wear your like normal everyday makeup. So I'm just, are you actually interested in what I'm using? Probably not, but this is a Kat Von D Shade and Light, and I'm just using one of the brown colors to fill in my brows. So speaking of self-adornment, the first of your questions that I picked was from Jules, and she's wondering about tattoos and piercings. If you're interested in getting into the funeral industry, do getting tattoos or piercings affect or hurt your employment potentially as an embalmer or working in the funeral industry? Traditionally, the answer to this is absolutely yes. It completely affects your employment prospects and it's much harder to get a job if you have them. However, I do think that that is changing. I think that especially, so for example, my funeral home, Undertaking LA, I run with another funeral director named Amber, and she is fantastic. We went to the same mortuary school, and she has a couple of tattoos. She has tattoos, I think, up on her wrists here, tattoos that are potentially visible when our clients come in. But we're also kind of a groovy California funeral home, so those things really don't matter as much, and I really think our families are coming to us specifically for something different. So if they come in and the director happens to have a tattoo on her wrist, they're not going to be like, oh dear God, what sort of, cabal of Satanists have I run into here? They're just going to almost not notice it. And I do know, I'm just going to put some eyeshadow on now. Spoiler, I'm putting some eyeshadow on. And I do have people that I know. I feel like I know a fair amount of people in the funeral industry who have tattoos and piercings. I myself I don't have any tattoos. I think, but as a general rule, very few funeral homes are like mine. So I think if you're in a smaller town or a more conservative place, you're still really gonna have to contend with that and contend with that prejudice. So I would recommend that if you're a younger person or an older person, any person, and you're someone who's really into tattoos, I would recommend getting them in places that you can cover up. I knew a girl who has like neck tats and she just wears turtlenecks all the time. If you can wear long sleeves and cover it up, that's a good idea. Just cover it up and cover them up when you do your interviews, because I think the perception, fair or not, is that if somebody is coming in and their grandmother has just died and they want a full traditional funeral, and someone comes in and they look all tatted up, that's going to affect the experience somehow. I wish the world wasn't that way, but it is in the funeral world still. It's still a very conservative industry. So just be aware of that. Next question. Well, I shouldn't be doing this while I'm trying to do my eyeliner. This is gonna go really poorly. But should I do some glitter? This little glitter thing. Maybe I will. Maybe a touch of glitter. A touch of glitter never hurt anyone. Okay, next question is, this is from Trish. She wanted to know if I was freaked out when I took the national board exam. So for those of you who don't know or who deeply don't care about this at all, the national board exam is the exam that morticians, I'm glad I did sparkles. They look real nice. Is the exam that American morticians specifically have to take when, basically to practice as a mortician in America. And there are two parts to it. There's an arts part and a science part. And is this going okay? Yeah, it's going okay. This is a thing that I've started using that I do like. It's CoverGirl. It's like a half beauty guru status. It's like half liquid, half, what is it called? Half stick eyeliner? Not stick eyeliner, that can't be what it's called. Oh my God, I can't talk. My hand has covered my mouth. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I can't prepare a corpse and tell a tale at the same time. The national board exam. So here's the deal. I have a lot of pretty negative feelings towards the national board exam. I think I feel about it the way that I feel about the SATs. And I actually used to be an SAT tutor. I tutored SAT for high schoolers and English for high schoolers while I was in mortuary school to make more money. I think it has a lot of problems as a test because it's much harder to pass if you're a low-income student, if you have a different set of skills, if you have disabilities. It's a very it caters to people who have been testing a certain way all their lives and can memorize and can spit back out information. And who had that privilege? Me. I was great at the national board. I had no problems with the national board because I've spent my whole life doing college prep than actually being in college, getting my degrees, doing these things. And yeah, I can memorize some silly information and spit it back out in a national standardized test. But that doesn't make me at all a better mortician than anybody else who would want to take the test. So it makes me kind of upset that that's how they do it. Also, I feel like the mortuary school programs, they want to have a certain amount of people passing this national board exam because that's how they keep their accreditation, that's how they keep people coming to the funeral school or to the mortician, to mortuary school. So they end up teaching to the test. Your whole 2 years in mortuary school becomes about learning these kind of arbitrary, silly things that are going to appear on this national board exam. And that's not really the best way to do it, because people finish mortuary school and they go out there in the world and actually get a job in a mortuary, and all of the little things that they learned, like, oh, if you put a 16% formaldehyde solution and a 10% humectant solution or whatever into a thing, what percentage of embalming chemical is this? Or, like some really arbitrary thing about Egyptians. Like, they'll decide, this is what they do, especially with arts and culture. They don't give you really broadly useful life skills. I'm gonna put on some mascara. Things that you could really use, like one-on-one with families and one-on-one with grieving people. They'll teach you just like very arbitrary facts about certain cultures. They'll be like, a certain, like, this was a particular Egyptian name for an Egyptian embalmer. Which one is it? Or like, in Jewish custom, this is what it's called when you rend your garments, when you're sad and grieving. It's like, and that'll be like the one fact that they'll teach you. And then that one fact will appear on the national board exam. And sorry, like, that means you can retain whatever random fact they wanted you to maintain, but that doesn't mean that you're actually prepared to go out there and be a mortician. So I would love to see, personally, I would love to see a lot of deregulation in the funeral industry. I'm just putting some concealer under my eyes. And I don't think that funeral directors should be entirely unlicensed, because I really believe in inspections and having to track everything you're doing so people can't be super shady with consumers. But I really think there should be less regulation, and I think that the training should primarily happen on the job. That it should be on the job training, and that's how people really get trained to be in the funeral industry, because every real true thing that I learned has been on the job and has been through trial and error and has been through other morticians or my bosses, telling me how things work. So that's a very long rant about the national board exam. Okay, last question while I do some blush. This is really, I think I need some new blush. Caitlin, you, girl, you can make this happen for yourself. I believe you deserve a fresh blush. So this question was from Reese. She said, I visit a Reddit thread called Watch People Die, which I did not go look at, but I assume is like videos of deaths happening or deaths caught on film. And she asks, or he or she, I don't know, asks, does this make me sick or morbid or just curious? This was actually kind of a complicated question for me, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and that's why I wanted to answer it. Get in there, face our things that are hard for us. But I personally have never ever enjoyed watching people die. Watching death videos, watching accident videos, watching train videos. I remember distinctly, does anybody remember Rotten.com? Do we remember that from like I think it was like the late 90s, early 2000s that it was online, and it was, this is just some highlighter, and it would be exactly that. It would be like this Reddit thread. It would be people dying in horrible ways, or car accident photos, or whatever it was, run over train photos. And I remember going there and weirdly almost feeling like I should be really attracted to it, being like, well, I'm a young, morbid person. This should be like my holy grail website, and just always being really uncomfortable and not enjoying it. And to this day, when I see an old thing like, there's an old documentary series called Faces of Death, which was just a compilation of scenes like this. I just don't like them, and I don't watch them. I don't even really love horror movies, to be honest. Even fake violence or death, I don't really love. But it's such a tendency in all of us, in human nature, that if there's something that we don't necessarily get, or that we don't necessarily get a lot out of, or it doesn't engage us, we other it and we say, ooh, that's creepy, that's morbid, I don't like that you do that. And I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think dying in violent and horrible ways is something that happens. It is a part of life. And if you're the type of person who really fears that and really worries about that in your own life, and it kind of plagues your thoughts a little bit, sometimes actually engaging with it and facing your fear and facing the reality that it happens can be a really healthy thing. So I guess what I want to say is that I don't want to put any judgment on that. I don't personally do it, but I don't want to put any judgment on it, and I do think you're probably just genuinely curious. The only thing I would guard against is if you're watching videos that you think that the family or the person really wouldn't want you to watch. That's my thought on that. I'm gonna put on some lipstick. This is a pretty dark lipstick. Of course, you can't talk when you're putting on lipstick, but it's darker than I would usually wear, but I tend to wear it for a video because, again, it shows up on camera better. Boom. And then I put a little thing over it. Slightly lighter shade over it. Yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna shoot this video, and then I'm actually today going to go meet a friend of mine. Her name is Dodai Stewart. She's visiting from New York. She used to work at Jezebel.com, which was a Gawker site, and she was the first one who shared my very first Ask a Mortician video. And it got a ton of views because of that, and it was really what kind of launched me into public awareness at all. So I'm very grateful to this woman. I don't think she even like truly knows how much she's really helped and how much it all sort of kicked things off. So I'm a big fan of hers, and she's just a friend now. Now she's the editor-in-chief at Fusion, which is another website. And we're gonna go hang out. And I already have my makeup on. It always makes me so sad when I put on makeup for a video and then I don't have something to do afterwards. I'm like, damn it, what am I gonna do with all this shit on my face? Cool, I don't know, maybe that was enjoyable. You know that on Patreon I like to do a little experimenting with format. So I hope that was enjoyable. I look fine. This is as good as it's gonna get. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed the videos this month, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.